السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. يا أهلا وسهلا بأفخم وأغلى متابعين ومستمعين بالعالم، متابعين قناة ArabGT Podcast. مقابلة جديدة من حلقات برنامج دردشة بزنس. اليوم معنا ضيف مهم جدا في مجموعة شركة جاكوار لاند روفر، لينارد هورنيك اللي هو CCO للمجموعة كاملة، انضم للشركة مؤخرا. حبيت أحكي معاه وندردش معاه ولكن بمكان جدا مميز، وإن شاء الله لقاء جدا مميز راح يعطينا معلومات حصرية ومعلومات نورنا فيها على مجموعة جاكوار لاند روفر، وين موجودين حاليا، شو المستقبل وشو الخطط اللي بيطمحوا لها خلال ال5 سنوات القادمة. Mr. Leonard, thank you for having me here today, this morning. Thank you. Pleasure meeting you again. This is, I believe, this our second time, yes. But this time it's recorded on camera. It's not only chit chat between me and you. Welcome to Abu Dhabi. Welcome to UAE. Let me start by asking you about where we are now, the Range Rover house. I know this initiative has been revealed a few years back. I've witnessed myself the Range Rover house for the reveal on launch for the Range Rover Sport earlier. I think it was last year in Dubai. I've seen the Range Rover house in France, and now we're here in Gantout Island, nearby Abu Dhabi, in a very special location with an amazing setup. Can you give me more insight about this vision, this initiative? What is it representing exactly for Range Rover or for JLR in general?
No, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it's indeed a very, very special location, probably one of the most special ones we had in the world so far. I think we have done about 25 Range Rover houses across the world. And the concept really is that we wanted to create sort of Range Rover community. So people were leaders, because this is a real brand for leaders. And the whole philosophy is to lead by example. And so we want those leaders to come to the Range Rover houses. And whether they lead in the family or lead in their business or lead in the philosophy or lead in any sort of part of knowledge, we bring those people together and then we talk with them about, you know, the Range Rover. We talk to them about luxury and about modern luxury. And it's not just about cars. You know, you can here, for example, make your own perfume, or you can talk about pearls, or, you know, we have very special cigars, you know, for the evening. So anything that sort of fits that whole Range Rover lifestyle and bring it all together. And what I find the most beautiful thing about Range Rover houses, that often at the dinners, there's the journalists, there's the clients, there's the retailers, there's, you know, famous influencers, and we bring everybody together. And we talk about Range Rover, and it's just fascinating. And I really hope that will really make that community even stronger.
This is like one of the pillars for Range Rover for the future, to build this kind of community and strengthen the relationship between the people who works for Range Rover and clients or potential clients or famous people in the society.
Yeah, absolutely. And for example, I take some designers here as well, and or the product planning people from England. And then they can talk directly to the customer, not in some market research insight kind of way, but the relaxed way, walk around the cars. And then we can learn a lot, you know, of, oh, we have to improve this, or why did we do that? And then we can make those improvements, and that is really, really helpful. What we also do is always have a special edition. And
can you give me more insights about the special editions?
Yeah, we have the Seraph edition here, and that is based on pearls. Obviously, this area famous for the diving for the pearls. And it was really hard because we wanted, those pearls are very, very deep in the sense of color and the depthness and the metallicness. You can really see that into the pearl. And we wanted to have that on the outside of the car. So it's not white, it's really that pearl color. And as soon as the sunlight comes on, which is quite a bit here in the region, you really see that depth and the pearlness in that. On the inside though, you see that little bit of white and some of the wood panels coming back, which is a bit of sort of this light driftwood from the sea. And then in the back of the car, you have deep blue, the deep blue, what you get, you know, because you have to dive very deep for those bills. You see that deep blue coming back, and then it's all personalized. It's fascinating. We only do 20.
Only 20 cars.
Yeah, I think they all have been sold now, but they are
and
beautiful
usually
cars.
with the Range Rover villas, with the Range Rover house, you reveal these limited edition Range Rovers.
Yeah.
And the priority is for the loyal customers who's friend of the brand to come over and have a look at these limited edition cars.
Yes, absolutely. So we do the review of the car, and you know, that is we've done a few editions like this. We haven't done it every house, but probably more than half, and that's always proven a very good a very good part of it, and a real good reason for people to also come and attend. Amazing.
I know as a fact that you've joined JLR in a few years back. I want to go back a little bit to your background with Dyson, with other brands that you've achieved several things with. But before going into that, let me start first with giving the viewers, the listeners, a glimpse on where JLR stand currently in 2024. I know that the company went into a lot of turbulence in terms of Brexit, COVID, the whole situation with the semiconductors, so many turbulence in the past few years. 2024, things seems to be like going to the right direction. Can you give me a glimpse on where does JLR stand now? How is things from your perspective?
Sure, thank you. And about 3 years ago, we announced our reimagined strategy, and often, those strategy was not just sort of a top line and then nothing changes. We really drastically changed everything that we do. So we changed our product roadmap, and we made sure that we will have electric versions of most of our products and brands and nameplates. We also made sure that we have a flexible architecture, so that when we have combustion engine, hybrid or electric, we can move for Range Rover and Range Rover Sport specifically. We also then announced that we go more deeper into each of the brand, and so give each of the brands a bit more space. So Range Rover, Defender, Jaguar and Discovery.
So it's four brands, four entities.
Yes,
completely split.
Yeah, well, there is. It's not 4 different entities, but it's 4 different brands, and they all have very unique characteristics, unique audiences, a unique execution, and a unique product range for each individually. And therefore, when you have the combustion engine range, you have the electric range, all for Defender, and you will have the same across the others. And that was a key part of it. And the second one, and that is all 4 brands are on this platform of being proud creators of modern luxury. And that is really a call to arms to all of us at JLR to really make sure that we give the clients a real fantastic customer experience in everything that we do. And to be honest, Range Rover House is clearly one of those examples. And over the years, over the last 2-3 years, you see how it has improved, yes. and we are on this learning trajectory, but it's been fascinating. And what you see also is that came with better results. So we had definitely a supply chain crisis. We had and that wasn't great. But you still see some tension in logistics or some tension in some supply areas. But the team in JLR did a fantastic job to really improve that. So where we can see now the results are coming back, our net debt has reduced and hopefully soon will be gone. And that gives us a very strong platform to reinvest in the future again and to find more growth opportunities.
As a JLR, as a premium brand, how do you view the group compared to other premium brands manufacturer? Where does JLR fit?
I think our uniqueness, especially on the top end cars, Range Rover Sport, Defender, even some of the other cars, is that we design it from ground up. And that means our platforms are unique to the proposition, unique to the audience that we want to sell the car to. That's why if I'm with my eyes closed, in a car, I know if it's a Range Rover or not, right? Because the platform is built ground up. And that is really important from a design perspective, because we are religious about the proportions of the car. So we have the silk line, and that then goes up. We have the belt line over the middle, and we have the roof line, and we are religious about that, so that the overhang on the front is shorter than the overhang on the back, etc., etc. We are religious about that. If I just draw 3 lines, you know it's a Range Rover. If I'm with my eyes closed in the car, I know it's a Range Rover, and it's because we built it up from scratch. And that is a lot of other brands, they take platforms from their mother company, or they take a platform of somewhere else and put it all together. Yeah, and that is great for them. I don't judge that, but that's not what we are about. We are about British originality, really doing something unique from the ground up.
Going back into the four brands, with the Range Rover, we've discussed the Range Rover House. We've seen the Range Rover Sport, all new generation. The Range Rover itself, all new generation. Several editions, and there is electrified editions coming over in a few years, I believe. If you want to give me more details on the electrified versions.
First on the brand positioning, I think Range Rover is for lead by example, right? That's why when we built the platform, there is this formality at the front. Therefore, you have your eyes go more to the front. You sit higher up. You overlook the other cars, and it drives like royalty, right? That's really what this car is about. Defender is about embracing the impossible. So it's about adventurous. And I drive a Defender, and even if I drive it in the city, as soon as I get into my car, I feel like I'm doing an adventure somewhere in the outdoors, right? And that's the feeling that you need to have with each of the cars. A copy of nothing is the key principle of Jaguar, and then we have Discovery, which is obviously for treasuring every moment with all your loved ones, and having that flexibility. So each of them has very clear propositions, and then also we want each of them to have electrification. And the first one is going to be the Range Rover. And, I really almost hesitated to call it Range Rover electric, because the electricness shouldn't matter. However, what is clear about launching a Range Rover is that it needs to be very smooth driving. It needs to be really quiet. It needs to be really powerful. And using the right innovation and the right electric architecture that we're building ourselves, with a lot of new IP technology, you actually will be able to make an even better Range Rover. That is even quieter, that is even powerful, that is even driving smoother, right? Think about the battery weight, how that helps some of the head tools. And of course it's quiet, and how to use that quietness better in the car, and of course the torque can be amazing in electric. And the tough part for us, and that's also, we have now a technology center here in Dubai, because we need to make sure that all of that can be done in the heat, can be done in the sand, can be done, you still need to do the weighting depth and everything else like a true Range Rover, but then electric.
Since you've mentioned the engineering center in Dubai, I know that there is a regional office for JLR based in Dubai. There is an engineering center. There is a lot of focus into the MENA region in general. What does the MENA region means to JLR? Or what's the importance of
everything?
If we rank MENA region, where does it come?
I don't think we give the detail, but I can tell you it is very, very important to us. And we, of course, China, US are very, very big countries for us, and where Range Rover is incredibly successful. The UK is a home country, incredibly successful. But the Middle East is been amazing, and I think what I've learned is that, and I think we were just talking about it in the beginning, is that people here really know their stuff about cars. When I drove at the airport, I hear a program on the radio about talking about cars in great detail, and it's every day on the radio. And if I talk to the clients here, they know everything about their cars. I think that's why they choose Range Rover, right? Or they choose Defender, and that's fantastic to see. It has got also a long heritage, right? We've been here for a long, long time, and that sort of heritage platform that people really appreciating that it's a dedicated platform and not something else. And then this sort of uniqueness of how, it's beautiful to see. And so for us, it's a very, very important market.
If we rank the MENA region, does it come like third or fourth in terms of...
Something like that.
Something like that. You've mentioned the electrifications that it's taking place on the coming models of Range Rover, whether it's a sport or the classic. Jaguar, the brand has been... like it's going into slow mood, no new reveals. What we know that it will be fully electrified in the coming few years. I know that the JLR as a group went through a whole change of management. The new management took a decision that we want to electrify the Jaguar. We invested heavily in Formula E. We want to penetrate into this investment to make sure that we build an amazing electric cars. I want to hear more. What's coming in Jaguar? What's going on with Jaguar? When are we going to be able to see the newest model? Is it going to be an XJ as a first reveal or SUV? And how do you view the brand? I know that you've seen the models and there is a strategy for it. What can we tell the viewers about Jaguar? What's coming for Jaguar?
No, thank you. I think, by the way, in the Formula E, which is the electric Formula 1 kind of thing, but the Formula E, we are currently leading. So Nick has recently won again. I am very proud of James Barkley and the team. And it really shows how passionate we are about Jaguar and how passionate we are about electrification of that. And but what is far more important for us is that we have made an extremely bold move, which means that we'll stop combustion engine cars, altogether for Jaguar. That is not like the other brands where we still have combustion engine or have the MLA platform. But for Jaguar specifically, we stop. And then we come back with a complete new range of 3 electric cars. But I don't want to say they are electric, because why we are taking our time for that is because they need to be truly Jaguar. Of course, there is an electric propulsion system, but that's not, it will really be a copy of nothing. That is the original dream of what Jaguar was. We want to go back to the original roots of Jaguar. And, if it would drive by now, you would be like, that's what we want. And it's a standout car with on an electric platform. The first one is a 4-door GT.
It's the first edition.
The first one, and then there will be 2 more following. It will be at a higher price point. They are designed, they are built in the UK, so they're proper British, and I always believe that it's underestimated how much innovation is done in Britain, especially in the Midland part where we are. It's actually I think the epicenter of British and actually it's the epicenter of global car luxury. And I think we will prove that with Jaguar, and also prove that with the new Range Rover electric cars. And just like maybe the epicenter of fashion and beauty is, you could say, is in Paris, right? That luxury, we want that to be in England. And so I think Jaguar is an extremely important part of that, and therefore we made this very bold decision to go and completely focus on an electric architecture. But I don't want it to be electric cars in the customer mind. I want it to be a Jaguar, a copy of nothing.
When you've mentioned that, so is it going to have also a variance engine? Like with the first Jaguar GT, is it going to be one electric version, another ICE engine, one hybrid edition? Or it's going to be fully electrified?
It's fully electric. So again, I think we are building the platform from scratch. So this is again, the Jaguar, the proportionality is really important in the car. Our chief creative officer and chief design is Jerry McGovern. And I don't know if you've ever met.
I met him several times.
Many people met. And the first thing he will tell you is that the proportionality is everything. To do good proportionality, you need to design the platform from scratch. And that's what we've done with the Jag. Yeah.
Recently, especially we start hearing it from mid 2023. Now it's all over the news in 2024 with all the sales results. We've noticed something that we, as an automotive media, we were saying that there is a big hype around EVs, but in reality, it's not reflecting back into sales. And this is what's happening recently, especially with the sales reports and the sales figures that have been announced. Most of the groups, they realize that EVs it's not picking up in terms of sales. With Jaguar going full on with only EVs, you don't think this might be something to reconsider? To have a platform where we can apply another type of engine?
I think the key thing is that you sell a car that is true to its brand heritage and its brand attributes, and is really true to what that audience and client wants. It shouldn't matter what propulsion system it is, right? And the problem is that perhaps not every electric car that's been launched has that sort of feeling and that sort of, and that's why we don't want to be the first. We never wanted to be the first. We wanted to be right for the brand, right? That's why we're launching with Range Rover that is electric, that will propulsion system. It will be probably our best Range Rover yet, and whether that is electric or not, it doesn't really matter. It's the same for Jaguar. You need to look at what's available. And for some cars and some brands we use combustion engine, and for others we use electric propulsion system. It all depends on what, and I think that is the magic where we need to get to, right? You need to get the infrastructure right, you need to get the cars right, you need to get the brands right, and then I think the electrification will probably go faster. We are truly excited about it because because we love an engineering challenge, and the engineering challenge to have a electric car going into the desert, going into the through 90 centimeters of water to and everything else is enormous, but they're cracking it. Yeah.
With mentioning the infrastructure and building cars and the engineering center and the amount of engineers that took place in England in terms of automotive specifically. From your background, I know that your background is not precisely in the automotive industry. You worked for years with Dyson, the famous brand. How do you view the challenges that's facing the automotive industry compared to other brands, other companies, something non-automotive?
It's vastly complex. And I think if you don't recognize the complexity, that is a very, very important part. You got, how the government rules and regulations, you got the government subsidies, you got the infrastructure, you got the brands, you got, there's so many complexities about it. And I think it's really important and that's a big difference with other sort of probably industry, not all of them. There's probably more complex ones as well. But for me, coming from a consumer electronic background in Sony and Dyson, I think the complexity is big, and but hugely fascinating. I love to unpeel that complexity and really think about the customer. What does the customer truly want? How do I create a smile every time they step into the car? How do I create a smile every time they contact us? And I think that's something from the consumer electronic business that I want to bring back into the car business is that true customer centricness, no? And how do you do that at scale really, really well? And that's one of the reasons why we're here in Range Rover House, right? It's one of the things is to have as between the brand and between the customers, build
the bridge.
Yeah, as close as possible. That's important.
With all the complexities that's taking place in the automotive industry in general, do you think it's tougher than Sony or Dyson, or it's because two complete different backgrounds,
It's always.
Which one more difficult for you?
I'm not sure actually whether it's difficult or not. That's a good question. They all had different challenges, and whether they were like in Sony was a very big company and how you get attention to what you need to achieve and get it right. For example, in Dyson is how you move very, very fast and stay ahead of the competition, even in product development, in marketing, in your distribution and everything. In the car industry now, it's of course, a unique time. We're going, there's suddenly this big new propulsion system. There is, dozens and dozens of new Chinese brands, Korean brands. There is Tesla and American brands coming in. The whole thing is shaken up.
Yes. And
how do you then, make sure that you stay calm and keep your portion of the market and talk to the right audience, and is an important one. Yeah.
Do you find it the challenges that you're facing in the automotive industry and JLR specifically? Do you find it on the go? Like, is it going to be bigger in 2024, 2025, or you think that JLR already passed this era?
No. It will always. I think now we have got the new propulsion systems. Maybe you never know what is in the future is going to happen on propulsion systems. Then you have, of course, also the mobility question. Is not everybody wants to buy a car cash when they want to buy for finance, but also a lot more people want to share cars, and they have different ways of mobility. I think also what you see in, for example, China with electric cars is that it really becomes that third home that you have. You can stay a bit longer in the car because you don't have to switch it off. The electrification allows you to finish your movie or to finish your work call in the car, and that brings a new way of using cars. And I think that all that development is coming through, and so I don't think it's going to be less complex. It's going to be actually more interesting, and I think what I do think is that cars will be far more tailored to certain needs than they are now. They may now look, some of them maybe look more similar now than they will be in the future. That's my sort of personal thinking, but let's see.
No, it's interesting to put it this way. We've spoke about Range Rover. We highlighted what's happening with the Jaguar, electrifications, what's the plan. Defender, it's one of the most successful brand or badges coming out from JLR, specifically in our region. I mean, in UAE, I don't know how long you've stayed, but if you look around the roads, you'll see no way you're gonna miss a Defender, whether it's a 90, 110 or 130. There is Defenders everywhere. How do you see a badge of Defender, specifically now so many other car manufacturers are trying to copy the whole boxy shape and the whole off-roading capabilities. Where do you see Defender going, and how do you see the Defender defending its position in this specific segment?
Yeah, it is fantastic to see that Defender has done so well. Normally what I've learned in the car industry is that, after a model launch, the volume sort of dripped down a bit. Defender, it's the opposite way.
It's the opposite way, yes.
And there is a fantastic team of people that have invented and delivered the car. We've got a fantastic manufacturing capability on Defender. And what I love about it is that a lot of that original storytelling, and the original technologies is still in the car, right? It's not the last one. I think was that shape was alive for 50 years or so, or even longer, and I think that will be again for this car. It is really the original. And I was in various auto shows, and then you see all kinds of copycats. I'm not, but people want the original. You see what I mean? So I think it's really important for us to focus on the originality of the car. And there's beautiful storytelling about the car, right? I learned that, we can have a 300 kilo load on the roof, which allows you to have more than 2 people sleeping on the roof. We have the strength of the car, which it can pull 2.5 times its own weight, and that has been even in the earlier version like that. The earlier version also had this very strong middle console, right? So you could stand on it and watch the Safari, and that strength is still there, And also the way they test, I discovered that we test the car on 25 centimeter curb. And with 25 miles an hour, we go and
back and forth.
So, And maybe we do not have the biggest screen, maybe we do not have the most interior lights, maybe we do not, but our customer, that particular audience, they want the original, they want all that storytelling, all that heritage, all the depthness, all the quality, the durability, and it's beautiful to see how people truly appreciate it. And it's really a brand that is developing beautifully. Yeah.
If you want to look at Defender, what's coming in the coming 5 years for the Defender?
Well,
more accessories, more editions.
Yeah, I think we're very keen to bring out some more special versions for specific audiences, especially here in the Middle East, where people use them driving in the desert and other things. We are very keen to have an electric version as well at some point. But at the same time, I think the originality and the flexibility of the platform is very important. So we have new colors coming up and all kinds of accessories. So the whole story of Defender and that in business terms they call it the ecosystem. It's a bit overused word. I'm sorry for that, but it is a good description. I think that will develop.
Building a community around the Defender. Is it something?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and that's a bit of a difference, right? Range Rover House, we're here and we talk about cars. We look at the cars. You can.
Defender. We have to be in a.
But Defender,
tent.
you go with 50 people and you drive.
Camping, you have a fire. And you're drinking coffee.
And we do that all over the world. Actually, recently my China team did a massive trip with I think 200-300 Defender clients into the northern mountains of China and also it has a true sense of purpose always, right? The Defender, we are associated with Tusk, we are associated with the Red Cross. It always has a purposefulness about it, which I think is very important for a brand like Defender. Yeah.
I would love to thank you very much for your time. I know that you have a flight to catch today. Thank you very much, Leonard, for your time, and I really look forward for our next interview or next meeting to see more what's JLR is hiding from us or what's going to happen with JLR in the coming nearby future. Thank you for your time. أعزائنا المشاهدين، أعزائنا المتابعين، شكرا جزيلا لوقتكم. كانت هاي مقابلة مع CCO لشركة جاكوار لاند روفر السيد لينارد. زي ما بنخبركم دائما لا تنسوا تشتركوا بقناة ArabGT Podcast. إن شاء الله مكملين معاكم بسلسلة المقابلات الحصرية لنعطيكم نبذة كاملة عن شركات السيارات، كيف بتخطط، كيف بتنظم أمورها، شو المخططات تبعتها للمستقبل. اليوم كنا مع جاكوار لاند روفر. تابعونا وانتظرونا، إن شاء الله عندنا حلقات وسلسلة كاملة، وإن شاء الله في عندنا مقابلة ثانية راح تكون متخصصة مع JLR مع المدير التنفيذي لمكتب الشرق الأوسط. راح نتكلم فيه عن أسواقنا تحديدا، شو أهمية الأسواق وشو توزيع الأسواق بإذن الله. شكرا لكم، شكرا لمشاهدتكم، السلام عليكم.